I personally believe the irreducible essence of responsibility as it applies to every individual and every team, simply put right here, is never be a passenger. Always stay engaged as a team member. Folks, the power of every team resides in the diversity of life experience of the team members, because through this diversity of life experience, we bring a diversity of perspectives to team situations. You can have 100 people on a team and 99 of them are seeing a situation identically because they've all had a common life experience. Then you have this one other person who worked in a different industry, experienced something personally, read something, had different bosses, different coworkers. But born of their unique life experience, they bring a unique perspective to the team situation that is not duplicated in those other 99 brains. And if that one individual would have the courage to stand up and put their idea, their concern out on the table for the team and the leadership to consider, it could have a significant and measurable impact on the success of the team. But it only works when everybody's doing it, folks. 99 out of 100 doesn't hack it. One person walking around as a passenger means that team is not functioning where it's truly capable. I would encourage everybody to tattoo this quote on your brain. This is a quote by former President Andrew Jackson. One person with courage forms a majority. Let's remember that, folks. You are unique. When you slip into that passenger mode, there's no clone of you that's going to step in and fill in for you. The team is damaged. You are unique and you can make a difference. So let's remember that. You count. In 2 words, what I'm saying here is you count. We all do. Leaders, good segue here, is make sure people are counting. Make sure that you're doing everything humanly possible to prevent them from slipping into that passenger boat. To lead in word and deed where you're projecting this philosophy, this message to your team. I don't see you as this amorphous team. I see you as a collection of unique individuals. All of you are bringing something unique to this team, and I want to know what it is. I want it all out on the table so I can sift among the ideas and the concerns and lead this team in the best direction possible. I want everybody participating, no passengers. I want to share with you excerpts from business magazines that drive home this point about leadership. This is a quote by General Electric's former chairman, Jack Welch. The only ideas that count are the A ideas. There is no second place. That means we have to get everybody in the organization involved. If you do that right, the best ideas will rise to the top. Anybody out there looking for the B ideas? Of course not. We all want those A ideas. How do we get them? Empowered people. Here's a comment by August Busch, Anheuser-Busch's CEO. Be reluctant to tell somebody they shouldn't do something. I've learned a lot of things that initially looked to me to be unreachable, undoable, or maybe even unwise, turned out to be brilliant after a lot of work. If you start shutting down ideas early, your employees won't come to you at all. That last sentence says it all, folks. You start shutting down ideas early as a leader, what are you doing? You're creating passengers. You're jeopardizing the team. Here's a comment by Herb Callagher, Southwest Airlines chairman. You have to treat your employees like your customers. Treat them right. That has been a powerful competitive weapon for us. You've got to take the time to listen to people's ideas. If you just tell somebody no, that is an act of power and, in my opinion, an abuse of power. You don't want to constrain people in their thinking. Again, the last sentence says it all. Constrained people are what, folks? Passengers. That's the last thing you want to create as a leader. Finally, here's a comment about KKR, a leveraged buyout company. At important KKR meetings, the opinions of the most junior people are solicited first, so they're not influenced by the bosses. These are people in organizations that understand the criticality of that word, empowerment, that you lead in a matter where everybody is counting, folks. And that can be hard. There are people that aren't mature enough to bring an idea forward without being controversial. There are people you might have had problems with in the past. You can also fall into the mode of thinking that you're the leader. You've got to know best. When you fall into that mode, or any of these other modes, folks, you start building a wall. It's sending a message to people that you don't want to hear from them, and you're seriously jeopardizing that team. Now, when you get into that infallibility mode, that I'm a leader, I've got to know best, I'd like you to keep this quote by Benjamin Franklin in mind. It was, he said it at the Constitutional Convention in 1787. Every member of the convention should doubt a little of his own infallibility. And I think that's good for all leaders. We ought to always be doubting a little of our own infallibility, because it makes it much easier to have that open door where people can come in and offer their opinions. I want to close this discussion with a real-life example of why, A, everybody on the team counts, and why, as leaders, you want them counting. And the story centers around this aspect of the pre-Challenger space shuttle design. Pre-Challenger, the space shuttle lacked a crew escape system. This cuts to the heart of the Challenger tragedy, folks. What you're seeing here was not an explosion, was not a detonation. The fire weakened the stack, we call it, and under the aerodynamic and G-loads of the moment, the vehicle just shredded itself. Nothing detonated or blew up. One of the items being hurled out of that vapor ball is photographed right here. That is the intact cockpit. Here's a closer view of it. 6 weeks after the tragedy, the cockpit wreckage was pulled from 85 feet of water. And an examination of that cockpit wreckage, switches at multiple crew positions were found in emergency positions, clearly indicating the crew survived that breakup and died 2.5 minutes later when the cockpit hit the water. The tragedy here is they were trapped. They had no escape system, no ejection seat, no pod, no parachute of any form. This was a fundamental departure from the way NASA designed all of her earlier rockets. For example, what would have happened if Neil Armstrong's Saturn V had come apart 73 seconds up? Would he and his crew have survived? In all likelihood, yes, because they had a tractor rocket on top of the capsule that would pull them to safety away from a failing booster. The one-man Mercury capsules had a similar tractor escape rocket design. Gemini astronauts were protected with ejection seats. The Russians used a similar tractor rocket design to protect their cosmonauts. Here's a test of one of those tractor rockets pulling up a dummy capsule. Basically, the tractor rocket would pull the capsule away from a failing booster, a parachute would be popped, and the crew would be lowered to safety. The Russians have actually had this system used to save the lives of 2 cosmonauts. Here's a Russian rocket launch back in the 1980s, a night mission. The main booster is blowing up on the launch pad. There's 2 cosmonauts in the capsule on top. Watch what happens. Bang, there they go, being pulled to safety. Check out that general in the foreground. He's worried about a noose around his neck. Not a good night to be in a leadership position when this is happening, but that escape rocket is pulling that capsule thousands of feet in the night sky. A parachute was popped. These cosmonauts were lowered to safety. The main booster they left on the launch pad continued to blow up. The bottom line is this, folks. All astronauts and cosmonauts who flew rockets prior to the space shuttle, in all likelihood, would have survived the identical malfunction that killed the Challenger crew. Now, after Challenger, NASA went back and tried to retrofit the shuttle with some type of viable automatic escape system. Ejection seats, pods, something automatic like that. In the end, they couldn't do that. In the end, they gave us the only thing they could give us, which is very primitive. We have the same bailout system a B-17 bomber pilot had in World War II, a backpack parachute. If you got to bail out of a shuttle, you got to be able to get out of your seat, go to the side hatch, jettison that, and jump out just like they did over Europe in World War II. Well, good luck. This system has some serious shortcomings, not the least of which, if you did exactly what I just described, you're going to hit the wing and die. The hatch is far forward on the left side. Wind tunnel tests prove you jump out that hatch, you're going to strike the wing and be killed. Now, here's your lesson on why everybody on the team counts and why, as leaders, you want them counting.